everyone, and welcome back to Cruel and Unusual Storytime. I am your host, Simon Dexter. Now, I know I made this joke in my Tales Doll Curse video, but deciding to do this particular story, I swear, I could already hear the devoted fanatics calling me a stupid idiot who doesn't know shit from a mile away. Because the way I pick what stories to read without suggestions, I just sort of listen around or even check out top 10 creepypasta lists, and if they sound dumb to me, I have them checked, and if they're a winner, they go in my archive. However, I do have a few suggestions lined up as well, but I decided to do something special for hitting 50 subs. Yay me. So, you two, you know who you are, you're the only ones who left suggestions recently. Don't fret, I'll get to them once this is over. Now, this one is a long one, folks, so I may actually have to split it down the middle, or even into a couple of parts, but we'll see. I'm already looking forward to it. My lack of quality readers even came back to me upset that I had made them read something so dumb. So I only have low hopes. No more dawdling now. Sit back, pick up your favorite nutritious snack, as we delve down deep into the lore of Happy Appy. Before getting into the story, I'm looking at the picture here. This is what we're supposed to be afraid of? This? Okay. The following are the entries of a blog that is constantly updated. The blog seems to talk about a show called Happy Appy. Seems to. It's the title. It's got shit about Happy Appy. Interesting choice of words, but hey. Again, your thing. February 23rd, 2011. Hello. I will be using you because I am discovering about a show called Happy Appy. I don't think you used that right, friend. Sometime during 1999, after Noggin was launched, Nickelodeon aired a new show on their program called Happy Appy. It sounds like some nursery rhyme that a babysitter would sing, but it wasn't. It was a short show, 10 minutes, and was normally played in duets, making each episode 20 minutes. Minus commercials, of course. A month after it premiered, it was pulled off the air, and was never aired again, even its nicer episodes. However, some parents did record the show, but they were VHS copies. Nothing wrong with VHSs, mine still work. But of those VHS copies, only some VHS copies survived. Stop saying VHS copies, it's hard to say. However, what was really rare was an intact DVD copy, and I fixed his little grammar area. It says intact, it's unintact, so that was me, not him. I'm taking my credit, thank you. An intact DVD copy of any episode. I was one of these lucky ones that had a DVD copy, of course you were, or else we wouldn't be reading. Yesterday when I did some spring cleaning recently, the wording of this is really wonky and I don't care for it. Okay, winter, spring cleaning, but who cares? I found some old DVDs with Sharpie on them. They read HA 110, or HA 110 is probably more correct, so that was me. I did some research by using Google, and on Roblox, unfortunately, I don't know what Roblox is, must be before my time, I found out that those were the initials for Happy Appy. Makes sense. In the replies, they said that there was no DVD copies around, which is false because I have some copies. Well, if they're written in Sharpie, then they're probably not legit copies. They're talking about legit copies. Use your head, friend. So I decided to put them into the disk drive, praying for them to work. Well, they did. And they instantly cut to the intro. By the way, I really haven't described the show, haven't I? I haven't described the show, have I? Have I? That's a double negative, what you just did there. There is this giant clay apple with hands and feet, being held up by a rusty bent stick. Okay. The stick looked wood to me, but whatever. However, they did change the stick to a non-rusted, but still bent stick. Okay. By the 8th episode, he wasn't even a clay model. He looked like he was CG, but he wasn't. Oh. Probably a very good animation. I bet he's real. That's just between you and me, though. Shh. To describe more about the colors of Happy Appy, His eyes were dark blue, his mouth was a dark green, and I bet the rest of them was red. And he had a leaf on his head. His intro song had the same tune as Mary Had a Little Lamb. It went something like this. Okay, you get to hear Simon sing. This is a special treat for you. Happy, 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 app, said 2 times. Happy, 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 yap, he helps the kids all day. He helps kids all day. There we go. Said 2 times actually worked, and that kind of makes me happy. Repeated 3 times. That's obnoxious as fuck, and I'd have to turn it off. Anyway, enough with that. Let's describe the actual show episodes. Episode 1 and 2 were called Happy's Vacation and Hurt Happy, respectively. Happy's Vacation was exactly what you thought. Happy going on a vacation and helping injured kids at the beach. Why were the kids injured at the beach? Hurt Happy was Happy getting hurt, and the kids helping him by giving him band-aids and fruit, which is weird because they give him an apple on one part. Cannibalistic son of a bitch. Nothing seemed out of place when I first saw it. When I saw it a second time, it looked very odd. While Happy was driving his van in Happy's Vacation, some frames were skipped. How does he drive a van if he's an apple? Should not question these things, Simon. You'll get in trouble. I ignored it, saying that it could be a scratch on the DVD. Be a scratched DVD, sorry. But when I checked, it wasn't scratched. Dun dun! Well, I will admit, it's not the worst thing I've ever read so far. It's kinda cliche, and some of the descriptions are kinda stupid, and the wording is not my forte, but so far not bad, but we're only at the beginning, folks. Don't get too excited. Also, I noticed some out-of-place objects in Hurt Happy. Sorry. In Happy's van, there was what looked like the border of the Hope poster. What's that? What's the Hope poster? Also, the radio plays a country-esque version of Hot and Cold, which was made in 2008. Oh, the Katy Perry song, okay. And very out of place for a kids' show. They did it on Sesame Street. Not that weird on Happy Appy. I thought those were just coincidence. Okay, that doesn't sound weird on the tongue, but I know that's not right. Well, I was wrong. Episode 3 and 4 were Stranger. One moment that could send chills down anyone's spine was the boo-boo scene in episode 4. Anything called the boo-boo scene already sends a chill up my spine, am I right, guys? Happy ate a child that has a bruise on his knee. He looks to the camera, death stare on face, and says, "What does Nate," I think that was his name, it wasn't Kevin, "need for this boo-boo?" Okay, can we talk about this phrase for just a sec? Okay, so death stare on face. What's the death stare? You haven't explained it yet. I've seen pictures of it, but you didn't explain what the death stare is, so why do you just throw it in there without any logical explanation? That I already don't like. And also, the phrase, "I think that was his name," it wasn't Kevin. They never said it was Kevin, so why would you think it was Kevin? It must have just... You could just left it... I think that was his name, because, yeah, forgetting names is one thing. Thinking that was a totally different name that wasn't even mentioned is weird. And if it was mentioned, you did not mention it, so that's the problem there. Continuing. So let me just read that sentence without his little thing in there, because it doesn't make sense if I don't. So what does Nate need for his boo-boo? He said with the death stare on his face. That's what I'm saying. For 30 seconds, he stared at the camera, motionless. His dark blue eyes soulless. His dark blue soulless eyes locking on with anyone watching. Finally, he spoke. "That's right, a Band-Aid!" I could do kids' shows. Why did he need that long to speak? I don't know. Dora takes about as long. Okay, maybe not that long, but still. Maybe they wanted to give the kids a chance. You just don't understand. The intros were cut out, and the main episodes were missing a few scenes. On episode 3, 5 minutes and 12 seconds, is when he does his first death stare evil smile. Okay. For 30 seconds. It was somewhat eerie. Also the out of place objects were getting more noticeable. He wrote oop, essentially, but it's capital O, little O-P, and it's just You could have written it out and not been lazy. That's just my point of view. There was a news broadcast about a tsunami that recently struck Japan. Happy said, "Oh no! If you want to help the Japanese, call this number." And a 1-800 number was listed. What did that have to do with anything? Moving on. February 24th, 2011. I watched episode 5. First off, I had Appy on his new stick. This episode was very violent. And it begins, everyone. Aren't you overjoyed? In the episode, Appy was doing his trademark death stare and smile for half of the show. Sounds really fucking boring, if anything. Afterwards, he helped 2 children. The first one he took out of sight behind a bush. Blood is seen from the bush and screams are heard. Okay. The other kid waits for Appy. Then he's seen emerging from the back of her, then it skips frames. Next thing I see is a blood trail leading to another bush, and Appy doing that DAMN smile. I've been told these things have italics. I've been told this. Use them. Embrace them. But yay for random violence. Always fun. Episode 6 shows Appy doing a death stare, but it was hardly viewable. Then it went static. For the rest of the show. I couldn't believe it. Me neither. I want my money back. I moved on to episode 7-8. This time the episodes were so violent, so badly made, that they couldn't have been aired on Nick. It says it ran for a month. So say there's an episode every week. That was only 3 episodes. Fuck it. Episode 7 had Appy take a kid into his van. Flesh cutting could be heard. What does flesh cutting sound like? I don't know. And so could blood splatters on the window and screams. Splatters on the window could be seen rather than heard, if you ask me. Which turn into gurgles. Then he emerged, doing a death stare and smile from 9 minutes to 21 seconds to the end of the show. Or 10 minutes. Or you could have just said one or the other rather than throwing them both in for no logical sense. Like I said, 8 had him be a CG-ish monster. But this episode was so coincidental I couldn't believe Nick would even allow it. What was coincidental about it? It was just sort of inappropriate, really, so you could have just used that instead. So, yeah. That's me, though. It starts out with the Appy going around the playground telling the kids about the cycle of life. By cycle of life, I meant the frogs and plants. The kids then said, "Thanks, Happy," and then smoke creeped behind Happy, so Happy and the kids turned around. 2 towers, 9/11, mentioned in 1999, were burning up with people falling off. Oh, okay, so this was set in 1999, and they're mentioning 9/11. So, okay, so not only is it creepy, but it's also got disturbing future-telling things. That's great, that's wonderful. Love these kinds of stories. They are so fun to read. There was a lot of screaming, fire, and a crashed airplane. The tail could be seen sticking out of one of the towers, and I could hear a faint whining noise, and I think that it was the plane. I love the possible photos of the 9/11 scene, because that's right next to what I'm reading here. It's just a really crappy picture. And it's like, no. Bad people. Then a piece broke off, hitting and possibly killing someone. When the kid asked, "Appy, what are the towers doing?" "They're fucking blowing up, you dumbass." It cuts to a kid that was stuck under a huge metal piece, crying for help. Some other kids tried to help him. He was screaming so loud it was almost heartbreaking. Oh. There was blood everywhere, and the fear on his face was so realistic I cringed. Appy turned to the camera, and just like a photo in the top right-hand corner, said these 3 words. "That's natural, children." He then dragged them away, leaving the trapped kids screaming. I jumped out of my seat. Was Appy a death-bringer of some sort? He wasn't in the first 2. Or was he a master predictor? I had to continue. Episode 9 and 10 were up. Oh, and you want to know what happened when I called the phone number tomorrow? No. You want to know what happened when I called the phone number? Tomorrow I decided that I would call it. What phone number? The Japanese one? Scroll up. Okay, you brought that up in the last post, but now you're talking about it in this post, so you're only thinking about it now? Okay. I hope that video isn't playing, because I can't hear it over the mic, but it might have been there. I hope it's not, or I'll have to redo this, and I don't want to. February 25th, 2011. Just a quick thing. I called the phone number mentioned on episode 3. It was a recording which I will translate for you. Hello, I'm Happy Appy, every kid's most helpful apple. If you want to make a donation, please press 1. If you want to know about the earthquake, press 2. Wasn't it a tsunami? Earthquakes cause tsunamis. Damn it, why can't I just win? Pressing 2 gave me this. An earthquake and tsunami helped hit Japan, and we need your help. If you can make a donation of $1, $2, $5, $10, $20, $50, or $100, you will be a big help. Anyone who donates gets a Happy Appy badge. So I decided to press 1 and donate $1 to the donation. It then said this. Okay, if you found it recently, and this was in 1999, they obviously wouldn't be taking donations anymore, I don't think. That's me, though. They might. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it just doesn't seem logical to me. And it then said this. So I decided to press... okay, yes. And then it said this. Thanks for helping the aid of the tsunami. Now, in the mail, you'll get your Happy Appy badge in a week. That was the whole blog entry. Just that. There was nothing creepy. Just that. That's all we get. That's all we get, folks. Okay, moving on. February 27th, 2011. Episode 9 was corrupted. It started up, but the whole thing had no audio, and the first part was so messed up that it was hardly viewable. The next part was just plain static for the rest of the video. Great, 2 missing episodes, I thought. 10 wasn't. It started with some weird offbeat carnival music. It started with Happy Appy still looking like what he did in episode 8. I wish he'd just write out episode, because when I just see the EP, it kind of throws me off just a little bit. Good for reading casually, not good for reading aloud. Just me. But this time, as the episode went on, the CG-ish model looked worse and worse. Like, injury-wise worse. Okay. Are we supposed to feel bad? Isn't he the monster? Why would we care? He was in his van driving against the road that looped on and on. Eventually, he reached the playground. I hope you guys can't hear the rain. Sorry, I keep getting sidetracked, but the rain is really loud here. Eventually, he reached the playground. Many children were at play. Happy looked like he was ready to kill all of them. How can you tell with the CG-ish model? Then he said, "Hey, kids, who wants to see Happy do a magic trick?" If he fucking rips off the Dark Knight, I'm gonna fucking neck punch him. The kids cheered and ran into his van. He then closed the door and drove off. After that, he came back smiling like he just killed them all. As much as an apple can look like he killed all of anything. I couldn't take it anymore. For some reason, Happy was making me feel nauseous. But I continued. If you couldn't take it anymore, why would you continue? Doesn't make sense. Holy crap, it is coming down. Sorry. The remainder of the show, before the credits, was him reading the news, with future events that didn't happen for a long time. Grand. Examples were the Libyan riots, Chris Benoit's murders and suicide, and the SS Columbia disaster. Meanwhile, there were random breaks, which showed a behind-the-scenes look at him realistically murdering a child. Yay! At the credits, Happy was holding a knife covered with blood. The camera shot down where there was a table. A hand with cut marks was visible. Then it cut to a blank screen with white text. If you get these DVDs, I copied Happy over them. I want to preserve this so that they weren't lost forever. Now you might wonder, how did Nick allow all 10 episodes, or 7? I don't know. They just did. That's it. They just did, that's what. If you want to know more, see me, KC. Oh, goody. KC? Was that my friend Kevin Costo? Is that the Kevin you thought was in the episode earlier? We'll never know. He did say that he worked with Nick until the end of the millennium, so he probably helped with Appy. I decided to visit his house. Okay, so if this is the case, this is clearly an adult writing this, rather than, maybe someone 14 and under trying their first horror story. So that docks some points for you, mister. Or miss, I guess. I have no idea who it is. When I entered, Kevin wasn't home. His wife was sitting, crying. I asked her what happened to Kevin. She replied with something that shocked me. I don't know what happened, but something or someone kidnapped him last night. I don't know where, but he or she left this. Take it. I then got a folded up piece of paper. I unfolded it, and it was a picture of Appy during the 9/11 scene, with the exception that he looked badly scarred. Before I left, I asked how those horrifying episodes got on Nick. She replied with, "He drugged the producers. He was going to..." Oh, for fuck's sake, who drugged the producers? What's going on? I don't even know anymore. I regret saying this wasn't that bad earlier. Ugh. That was enough. I couldn't bear to take it anymore. So I left the house and drove off. When I got out, I decided to walk toward my house. Then I heard a gunshot and screams from a woman, probably Kevin's wife. I then glimpsed the picture again, but don't call the police or anything. This time, Appy wasn't in the photo. Oh, there we go. Okay, now you're showing some fucking caring. I instantly ran into the house because I know whoever killed Kevin was trying to kill me. Before I opened the door, I saw one last glimpse behind me. It was Kevin's mutilated arm in a bush, and an unknown figure standing behind it. And I'm afraid that's it on the time for now. I'm trying to keep the episodes to be around 20 minutes if I can help it. So join me next time when we see if the author is killed by Appy or not. Probably not, because there's still a shit ton to go. This blog goes all the way into November, and we're barely exiting February. Oh well. If you guys have any suggestions for when the story is over and after I do the other 2 suggestions I gotta do afterwards, please leave them in the comments below, and I will see you in Happy Part 2.